Hello, future customs brokers. I am Joyce Dorimon, and welcome to the BSCA Knowledge Podcast. And in this podcast, I will discuss to you how the vessels carrying imported goods from a foreign port enter the port of entry here in the Philippines, unloads and loads its cargoes, and leaves the port of entry for foreign port. As a customs administration student, it is important to understand the procedures on the entrance and clearance of vessels so that you will become an efficient customs broker who knows if the goods are being handled correctly and without any fraudulent act involved. You will become a customs administration student that is able to work at the port and manage port operations like the entrance and clearance of cargoes. And lastly, you will become a port officer who knows when it is needed to issue arrest against the vessel who have violated the rules and regulations written in RA 10863 or the Customs Modernization and Tariff Act. Upon entrance of vessels at the port of entry here in the Philippines, there are basic principles to be observed. Vessels engaged in foreign trade should visit the designated port of entry only. Vessels may enter any port of entry in the Philippines if it is due to necessity. Vessels entering any port of entry other than the designated one shall be subject to arrest if it is not due to necessity. Upon the arrival of any vessels at the port of entry, it is unlawful for any person to leave or enter the vessel except the persons duly authorized in the provisions of RA 10863. Upon entry of any vessel engaged in foreign trade, the master of the vessel shall present the required certified documents mentioned in Section 1203 of the CMTA to the Customs Boarding Officer. The rules and regulations to be followed in unloading and loading of cargoes are: the loading of cargoes in a vessel should be based on the stowage plan. According to Section 1211, the unloading of the cargo from a vessel shall be allowed during the official non-working hours, but it is subject to the payment of the service fees by the shipping lines at the rate prescribed by the commissioner. And lastly, the vessels may unload its cargo if it is really necessary to do so. Upon entrance of vessels here in the Philippines, it should undergo clearance, and it shall follow the procedures written in RA 10863. The first one is submit the necessary documents mentioned in Section 1215 of the CMTA. If there is a need to extend the time of the clearance, it is allowed only if it is in accordance to the provisions granted in Section 1218 of the CMTA. Warlike vessels containing arms and munitions shall be subject to detention except when posting of appropriate DTOC is done. The master of the vessel shall follow all the provisions given in the Section 1217 of the CMTA. Port operations rules and regulations may affect the customs broker profession. Why? Because customs broker profession deals with import and export transactions, which is done through any port of entry. As a broker, you would deal with the rules and regulations in the port operations, and it is important to be knowledgeable of the different rules and regulations imposed in any port operations, because whatever it may be, it can affect you as a broker. For if there is any problem in the import and export transactions regarding the rules and regulations in the port of, the broker will be the one to deal with extra work that it may contribute. In the port operations, the broker should also act in accordance to the rules and regulations imposed. So, that was all for today, future customs brokers. Thank you for listening, and stay safe, everyone!